I was always a very shy child, and I'm very uncomfortable around other people, and so music gave me an outlet to express myself and to say how I felt without the pressure of people knowing that's how I really felt. And I grew up and I just got addicted to it. I wanted to do as much as I could, as often as I could, and I never wanted to be a performer. The idea of people staring at me made me want to die, and so I just wanted to do education. And I got accepted into 2 different universities for vocal music education, and it was perfect. And it all just started to fall apart at the seams really fast, and I couldn't hold on to it anymore. I had grown up with hearing issues and connective tissue disorder that we didn't know yet, but it was always a fear of losing my hearing, but I always thought it was one of those lies that you tell yourself, like, oh, I have a headache, it must be a tumor, And I noticed more and more things started to slip out of my hands. One of the days that comes to mind, I was sitting in class and I couldn't understand my teacher talking anymore. And I thought it was because I was stubborn and I wasn't sitting close enough. So I got closer and closer and closer, and I was right in front of her face. And I still couldn't understand what she was saying. And I thought it was just an ear infection. And it turned out I had lost 30 to 40 decibels of hearing in that month. And everything spun out of control. They were telling me, maybe it's progressive, you need to come back. Came back in a couple of weeks, it dropped again. Came back in a couple of weeks, it had dropped again. Christmas is coming, and now I'm legally deaf and getting fitted for hearing aids, which is my last hope. And so I'm starting a new semester with my hope. And I'm sitting in class for theory, and the piano is playing, and I'm supposed to chart out every note. And I'm just sitting there, waiting for the test to start. And everybody else's pencils are moving. And I'm just sitting there, I'm waiting to start. And one by one, they all got up and they left. And they looked at me as they left with pity. And that was the last day I was a music major. And I questioned God. I questioned why I would have these gifts given to me, just to have them pulled apart and taken away. And I yelled and I screamed and I said every prayer I could think of until I couldn't think of anything left to say, and I stopped talking to him altogether. He had heard it all. To say that I thought God was being unfair, I think is putting it mildly. I felt like I was being abused and punished for something, and I wasn't sure what I had done wrong. And I could have lived there for a very long time. But I started having conversations with my dad about what could this mean? Why? And we changed our perspective that day, and we tried to figure out, why would bad things happen to good people? Why does hurt happen in general? And we realized a couple of things. The first is that this is a broken world where you're human. We're disconnected from God. It's messy. You have free will. People make bad decisions. Genetics that come into play when you don't want them to. People don't see that it's broken. But the real truth of it is that it's part of the human experience. And we are doing our best that every step of the way we still need to walk in faith, regardless of what happens. The second, and the more important one, is God's a father watching his child in pain. He's not a bully with a stick just beating me down. He knows. And he's hurting with me, and he's crying with me, and he's holding my hand and just hoping that I will look up and realize that I'm not alone. And that changed everything for me. I moved back home and started taking ASL classes, and that gave me an encouragement to say yes to things. It made me feel like a person again. I had a way to communicate. And then my dad asked a very simple request: will you play guitar with me? And I thought it was stupid, but he's my dad and I respect him. So we sat down, we played guitar together, and I was watching him and I was feeling the rhythm. And then he made another request, which seemed even more crazy. Would you learn a song and sing it? I was like, all right, dude, come on. This is absolutely ridiculous. But you're my father and I respect you and I love you, so yes. And so I got the sheet music and a guitar tuner, and every note I hummed until that little light turned green, and I moved on to the next note and moved on to the next note. And every time I made a mistake, I started the whole song over again. And I finally got through the song. My dad came home and I said, all right, let's do this. Found my first note, closed my eyes, told myself, who cares? Opened my eyes at the end of the song, and my dad was crying, and he said, you did it. And I didn't believe him, and I recorded it, and I sent it to my old vocal coach, and she said, you have to start coming and doing lessons again. What do you want to do? I want to sing jazz. And then I started singing at jazz clubs, and I started having concerts, and I started making albums, and then I started talking and sharing my story and finding out that there's so many people who are just as broken, who are just as messy, who just want a little bit of hope. And it changed my entire career path. It changed my entire life around to say that, yeah, I'm broken. I'm not the person that I thought I would be. I'm not the person I wanted to be. But I'm walking a path and God is holding my hand and He's going to use me regardless of where I go. And I can see Him using me in my life. And I hope that my story and the things that I'm experiencing and the pain and the struggle will help one person. And if it helps one person, then it's been entirely worth the whole journey.